Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Madeline Edelman, a professor of justice studies in the School of Social Transformation. And I've had the pleasure of searching for and finding some of the most interesting people in our state who are doing justice for this, our annual Seeking Justice in Arizona series. This is the third of three, so our final one for the fall 2023 semester. Let's begin with ASU's land acknowledgement.
ASU's campuses are situated on the homelands of many indigenous peoples, including the Acamel, Otham, and Pequash.
Arizona State University recognizes the original inhabitants of these lands
And recognizes that they still reside throughout the Phoenix metropolitan area.
And we recognize the impact of their wisdom and generosity towards us.
If you've flown into the valley, you have undoubtedly seen the Salt River private canals that surround the area.
Those modern-day canals follow the framework of the canals originally constructed by ancestral Sonoran Desert people who moved up to make this area both livable and a place where peoples could thrive.
We acknowledge that the modern-day indigenous nations that descended from the ancestral peoples are the original inhabitants of this land.
Sharing a land acknowledgement is a small and symbolic gesture to make as part of our larger material efforts to realize the robust sovereignty, security, and well-being of Native peoples. And I invite you to consider what steps we can take individually and collectively to advance tribal sovereignty, security, and well-being as we discuss today economic injustice. So this is our 19th year. Each fall, Seeking Justice in Arizona invites 3 individuals, groups, organizations, or initiatives to share their chosen pathways to justice, to give us a sense of what it's like from the inside, what it's like to be involved in social change in real life. And so we're able to explore people's personal stories and backgrounds, experiences, and the decisions that have led to their priorities, turning points, and collaborations. Each of our speakers bring insights not only into the particular issues that they work on, but also the strategies and tactics they use, how they define and engage power ethically and fairly to benefit the people who are most affected by the entrenched social problems that they take action around. And they also share their vision for the world that they want to create. In the School of Social Transformation, justice studies as an academic area of inquiry is dedicated to that gap between the way things are and the way they ought to be, identifying steps that will get us closer to that vision. And we acknowledge that we don't all share the same vision, and even when we do, that there are multiple pathways toward that vision. Seeking Justice in Arizona allows us to get to know the people doing this work day by day, chipping away at various forms of structural inequality. This year's series is hosted by our Introduction to Justice Studies course, JUS 105, and I thank my colleague, Professor Kwan, and her students to being part of this annual event. I also want to say welcome to all of our attendees from both on and beyond campus. Our guests today make our third and final speakers for this year's series, Christy Moore and Glynda Henderson of Social Spin Laundromat, who are going to help us discover how purpose-driven laundromats are catalysts for healthy, engaged communities, offering safe spaces where neighbors connect and access vital resources, including clean clothes. So welcome, Christy and Glynda, and we have a number of questions that we've put together. So I'm just going to start us off. Does that work?
Yes, thank you so much for having us.
Definitely. I'm
Great. Welcome.
just sharing our story.
So can you tell us how you put yourselves on this particular pathway to seeking justice and what your relationship is to the people and the issues that you're addressing?
Yeah, you want to start?
Yeah, I can do that.
Speak loud.
Okay. Can you hear me? Because I don't speak very loud.
She's a soft speaker, strong leader, soft spoken.
I just happen to I was retired and I just happened to meet Christy and I volunteered back in Colorado and well, not accidentally, because nothing happens by chance. I met her and she shared her vision for it. I've lived in a few states. So she said, well, I have a purpose-driven laundromat. Never heard of one. So she explained it to me and it intrigued me so much that I volunteered, and 5 years later, she hasn't gotten rid of me. So I'm still here. So sharing the same focus. I mean, it has really blossomed, has grown into such a huge entity from I would say such a small gesture, because you would think laundry was so small, but it's so necessary, and it's just grown blossomed into what to us.
Yeah, and Glynda is being very modest. So I'm a social worker by profession, and I had a negative experience in my neighborhood laundromat. And that night came home and told my husband that I'm quitting my job and opening some kind of laundromat that had a social spin to it. And he just calmly said, call it that, social spin, and open a chain, not just one location. That was 6 years ago, and we're embedded in 5 different communities throughout Arizona with a hope to go nationally through some of our strategic partners. But Glynda actually leads our foundation, which is relatively new. I started the business initially as a benefit corporation, as I mentioned, 6 years ago. We were struggling during COVID with being displaced from our original location and decided to buy land so we could build our next location and never have to be displaced again. And that's when Glynda came on as our chief change maker or CEO for the foundation. And she reports to a board of directors. So 2 separate entities. I make the money, she spends it, which is a beautiful partnership. But I asked her to serve as our first ever CEO because she is that natural leader. During our weekly free laundry events, customers identified her as the leader and would turn to her for support. And it was clear that she needed to be leading our charitable efforts. Out of retirement.
Yes, no longer retired, but in all of that, I found my purpose, and it has truly fulfilled me. So you can even still find your purpose at any age, and I did, and it's just been a great partnership ever since. So I am sometimes words fail me, but my heart knows what I want to say.
Mm. You can tell right there that this work is intense and extraordinarily meaningful. You're talking about meeting some of people's basic needs that allows them to have dignity and be human as they move about the world.
Yeah,
and I'm wondering if you could tell us how traditional laundromats typically function in a community. Are they more like barbershops and hair salons? What potential do you see for transforming them into some kind of community hub?
Yeah, they used to be, and this might be a good time to put up that first slide. I'm addicted to toilet paper now as a result of an experience I had at one of our local laundromats where they charge customers 50 cents for toilet paper, and you have to buy that toilet paper from the vending machine. So traditional laundromats now, and it wasn't this way when we were growing up, where they were mom and pop owned. I say that it's male, pale, stale, wealthy ownership within the laundromat industry. So the owners are highly disengaged from their business, but their community as well. So here's an example of what you see at your neighborhood laundromat, where you have to buy toilet paper. And for us, we see our locations as community hubs, so vibrant social community hubs that connect our customers to care and our community together, a mutual aid hub. So when we need toilet paper, we put out a call to the community and our community shows up with toilet paper, which is just one teeny tiny example of traditional versus purpose-driven laundromat. So toilet paper, we have a free library, we have this community fridge behind us, we have a clothing rack. The second most thrown out items at laundromats is unwanted clothes. So we're just diverting that trash over to a donation shelf where any customer can contribute or take what they need. We think that laundromats are undertapped, underutilized community assets that have the potential to truly meet people where they're at and ultimately eliminate barriers to accessing care.
Yes. And you wouldn't think that like I said, laundry is just to get them in. And then all the services that we do provide there. I mean, we even partner with Tortoise and Hair for shoes. I mean, sometimes, well, over the summer, we had a shipment of shoes come in, and then all of a sudden, you know, by the end of the summer, those shoes were worn down. It was, I mean, you wouldn't think of shoes being worn down, but it's so hot here. So that was just another way that we were able to help our customers. Plus, with the services that we do add, we've got classes that are very popular down there. COVID class, a diabetes class, and we also have an AA class. I just happened to pass by one of the COVID class, and it reminded me of high school, I mean, school, where the teacher's up there talking, and then she's interacting with the group, and everybody's shouting out answers and stuff. I mean, it just really made me think, oh my goodness, they're really engaged in this. COVID, you know, who would think COVID? But anyway, but I just dealing with interacting with people where they are. We even have haircuts down there. And I think this past week we had 20 people sign up for haircut, and it was just one person. And so I think we got through half of them. I mean, he only worked 3 hours, not only, but he worked 3 hours, and the transformation from the people that came out of that. I mean, one guy hadn't had a haircut in a minute or two, and then he trims up the beard. I mean, he's even now, more women are coming in there asking for their hair to be trimmed as well. So it's just any kind of services that we may be able to provide that they may be interested in, because we'll take a poll first and foremost to ask if there's any interest. To see if it is, then we're gonna see if we can find that particular interest and just let them run with it. Because it's like I said, it really makes me feel good to see that the interactions rather than just people sitting there. And Wednesday is our biggest day with all the food. I mean, they're not just there for the food, and they're not just there for the laundry. So that has really helped us in that way. And also we this is our second year for being a heat relief station. I think we had 2,500 people come through there, and we were only open from the end of May to the 1st of September. So we didn't get in on the beginning of it, but 25 people came through there. We also have
2,500.
Oh, I apologize. 2,500 people.
A lot.
25, yes. And then we offer showers as well. So they were able to get food and free internet and the water. I mean, we were providing water as well, but it's a safe space. And that's what we always, that's our second name. It's a safe space, because I've heard people mention, because I do interact, I've heard people mention, one guy came in and he was very proud. He had been there before, and he brought a new person in. And he also told him that it was a safe space for him to be in. And the guy, he was just very receptive, but it was just the idea that our customers are sharing our name out there, and they feel okay in doing it. I mean, it may seem such small steps, but for someone to feel like they're safe in there, really warms me to no end.
Yeah. And so we really focus on being that trusted space. We measure our success using the Sense of Community Index, which is a well-respected tool in social science. We worked with the author to change the term neighborhood to laundromat, so we could make sure that this stays a trusted space. So we ask questions like, do you feel like you're at home when you're here? Do you feel like you know the other customers? Do you know that you could come here and get care? And all of those responses indicate that, yes, this is indeed a place that they come to regularly, typically every week, and they spend 2 hours here and they know that they could get a variety of care. One of the things that Glynda mentioned was our COVID workshop, and this number, it just is crazy to me and shows like the impact of this model. So we have the COVID workshops in an effort to decrease vaccine hesitancy. It's funded through the health department, so they understand that certainly it's a public health issue, ensuring that people, especially unsheltered, have access to vaccinations, but also accurate information. We found that our customers, 60% of our customers who went into that space unvaccinated, came out of that space willing to become vaccinated. So our next step is to make sure that we have a service provider like Circle the City or Valle del Sol on site delivering the vaccinations after that workshop. So we take really difficult conversations and host them in a safe space. We do HIV testing, hepatitis, self-harm reduction practices, all the things that are uncomfortable at times to talk about and really difficult to access, and bring them to their laundromat.
This is just an incredible model. I do hope that you're able to bring it to a national audience. I'm curious if you could tell us a little bit about the 5 different locations. Generally, where are they and how might they differ? How did you decide to target those spaces? And could you share demographically, who are the people who find their way to you, whether that's about their housing status, their race, ethnicity, ages, gender, whatever makes sense for you.
So Glynda had mentioned earlier that everything we do is customer driven, community driven. We have a chalkboard over here where our customers communicate to us the types of programs and services that they'd like seen and hear. And then we have those community partners commit to specific agreements in serving our customers. So for example, we hate poverty porn. You cannot take photos of our customers in a vulnerable moment and publish it in an attempt to raise money. If an entity is financially benefiting, like an insurance broker, by signing a customer up, they need to reciprocate that equal amount back to our customer for their participation in a survey, for example. So we develop programs based on our customers, based on trusted community partners, and then also look at specific health data. So we know at our locations, it's consistent that obesity prevention, mental health, and substance abuse are big needs within all of the neighborhoods that we serve. And so we're able to identify partners and replicate that throughout the community. Here at Mesa, for example, we have a free cardio class on Mondays. People work out with a trainer and get free laundry while they're working out. And the routine is built so that people can exchange like their clothes from the washer to the dryer at the perfect time. So where we are right now, Glynda and I are at our Mesa locations. We have a location in Phoenix. That's the land that we purchased. It's right now a mutual aid hub where we do laundry distribution and pickup services. So people drop off their laundry on Wednesday and they pick it up on Thursday. We have that same model embedded in the St. Vincent's shelter on Washington Street, and we're expanding tomorrow.
Thursday.
To Glynda. And they're Systems of Care campus out in Glendale. Molina Health has been a huge financial supporter. They understand the importance of access to clean clothes, and they're actually financing their community's first ever free laundromat. So anyone in that community will be able to access the washers and dryers free of charge. Now, they're only open 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. We love that it'll be accessible during that time, but real conversation around, well, if I'm a mom with 3 kids and I'm working 2 jobs, like I can't get over there for free laundry. The same is true for people who are homebound with disabilities. They can't come to our free laundry event. So we worked again with the county health department to provide free pickup and drop off services for our neighbors who are homebound and also need laundry service. And the messages we get from them are heartbreaking. Like they aren't able to make their laundry pickup appointment because their oxygen levels are so low, they can't collect their laundry. Like, imagine having a chronic illness or an illness, a health issue where you're not able to have clean clothes. That's tough.
And I also remember one of our customers said that she hadn't washed clothes in what, 6 months or something, some outrageous number. But you know, with signing up for us, now she can get her laundry done on a weekly basis. And that the first time was, you know, rather large summer clothes. But however, to know that you can wake up once a week and know that your clothes are clean, it's just something that we all, I know I did. I took for granted. No longer do I take that for granted because I see the impact that it does have on people. I mean, I'm not just talking about unsheltered people because that's what's usually over in Phoenix. However, we do get some families over there. But I also come over to Mesa on Wednesdays, so it's Wash with Care all day, where they physically do their laundromat. We give them the money for the free laundry, and a dozen a week go by when someone is telling me that how much they appreciate being able to come in here because they know every Wednesday they're going to get some free clothes, maybe washed clothes. The clothes they'll be able to wash their clothes and to the next week. And it's also a family. It feels like a family situation here because, you know, having conversations with everybody and knowing their names, you know, you get to know them. So you know how many people are in the family. You ask how the family's doing. It's a friendship thing rather than just a business. Yeah. So we do treat them as families.
Separate communities need separate resources. Yes. And the demographics are different in each community for sure. And that's why it's so important for us to be customer driven and backed by data. Is they know what resources they want access to. And our job is just to make sure we broker that with trusted community partners. What I'm most excited about is when and this is how the foundation and the business work, the business will secure a contract. For example, we process all of the laundry for both the residents and the linens at the St. Vincent's shelter in Washington. When we have a contract like that, which is 1,000 pounds a week, we're able to hire directly from that population. And so working to process that laundry is a crew of 4 individuals who reside at St. Vincent's who are processing that laundry. And then we also have counter support to collect and distribute that laundry. With the zone cleanup, people who were previously unsheltered are being displaced and swept and moved into temporary shelter facilities, which is causing extreme chaos. And we see it directly because they're coming into our point of entry for laundry collection. Thankfully, like St. Vincent's led the charge in budgeting as an agency for laundry service for their residents. And now the other providers like New Leaf and Cass are following suit and hiring the business to process laundry, which I love because it's taken years for us to encourage the nonprofit administration to budget for laundry service. It's an essential service that they should treat just like their meals and all other essential care that they're providing to their residents. And we're seeing that, which means when we talk about economic justice, we're allowing those residents of the shelter programs to keep those dollars that they would spend in laundry service and shift it to other high priority needs like their medication and food and other things. So part of our more macro level work is advocating for laundry, access to laundry to be recognized as essential within our service provider community.
What will that take? You talk about advocating. Can you paint a picture for where are you doing this kind of advocacy? Is this about policies? Are these state laws, administrative kind of regulations, nonprofit, I don't know, practices?
Yep. I mean, it's all of it depending. It's relationships with our nonprofit communities, letting them know that the service is available and encouraging them to budget for it. It's grant collaboration between our nonprofit partners so that they have the resources to fund. There is a level of policy work. So for example, our friends at Native American Connection received a grant to shelter individuals, and it was mandated that they provide laundry services. However, it was an unfunded mandate. So we're looking at shifting that conversation to having mandated, having it funded. If you're going to have a mandate, it needs to be funded. We're also looking at policies around transitional housing programs. That's a whole nother conversation,
Yeah.
but they squish in 16 grown men into a 4-bedroom and they have 1 washer, 1 dryer. Like, we want to see regulations around laundry capacity with transitional housing communities, and that's going to require legislation.
Are there friendly legislators that you are beginning that conversation with? Is this going to happen in the next session, do you think? Do you think anything might be introduced as a beginning to launch the conversation?
We have conversations, yes, with friendly legislatures. Some of them actually are customers, laundromat customers, which we absolutely love because they see it as a great way for them to connect with their constituents. They're literally doing laundry here and having conversations with their constituents. We don't have a big team, so this could be a great volunteer opportunity. We had a conversation with Arnett. We love the work that they're doing around re-entering women into the workforce, justice impacted individuals. And so we have multiple conversations going, but one of them is partnering on this legislation and turning to Vitalist, who is a funder, to potentially help provide additional capacity so we can have this conversation. Right now, honestly, our priority is on our affordable housing project though. And we need to stay focused on that, but would be more than happy to partner with another nonprofit to take the lead.
I appreciate that you're both involved in the direct service and that the model you're using is evidence-based or evidence-driven, but more importantly, I think from your sense of your ethic of care, it is driven by the people who are in need. That's a model of justice that that many of us are studying. These students in this class will be going on to take theories of justice, for example, and they can explore those different kinds of models. Can you tell us about this affordable housing initiative? This seems to be addressing one of the most, I'd say, insidious problems that we have here in Arizona and Maricopa County in particular, with the rise in rental cost, the rise in unhoused people, particularly seniors and people in families, and no substantial affordable housing in sight. So could you help us wrap our arms around this new initiative, or maybe you're partnering with other people? I'm not sure.
Well, right now, listening to, I mean, it's, I could go several different ways with this, but anyway, right now, from what I see, it's hard. There are no easy doors that's opening for us, even though the governor and the mayor have both given lip service to that particular issue. But nobody, I mean, from what I understand, land is supposed to be an issue. We're sitting on what?
Almost an acre.
Almost an acre of land. And we've already gone to several different people to have the conversation that let's develop the land we have. We've already done a lot of the work. I mean, and we're willing to do more, and we have this land sitting there. And it's not going to go down. It's not going to get any cheaper. So why not just go in and develop that particular piece? And our population has exploded with people my age. I mean, and a lot of stories come in there with people saying, I don't know, I never thought I would be in this position, but they're there. So the reality is, it's smacking them in the face every day while everybody is still sitting on their hands and not doing any, as you can tell.
She's so heated. I hope it's coming through. She
do
is
too.
heated on this.
I don't understand how you have an opportunity and everybody's, you know, it's just not cooperating, and it's not like we haven't done the work. I mean, we went out, we were just going to be okay with the first piece of land that we had. However, we went and took it to one agency, and they said, well, dream bigger. And then we started dreaming bigger, and then they backed out of it. We've been backed out on what, 2 or 3 times?
Yeah.
I mean, and so, but the issue hasn't gone away. It's been exacerbated, especially with the zone leaving and people just throwing people out there, and they have no place to go. And you give them a month or two, that's a month or two. But and I know that a lot of them live day to day. However, there's no hope for anything else to come and change that, even though it's going to be what we said, about 1.5 years in order to get this project up and running. If this had, and it was like almost 1 year ago when we started this, two, right, 2 years ago, we could already be having this particular.
Look, we've got our shit together, and it's taking us forever to get this affordable housing project together. So yes, we bought land, and we were scrappy at the time, and we had to turn to 3 wealthy people to lend us the money to purchase this land, because the non-traditional community lenders, ACF, Liz, we've had conversations and we're working with all of them, but they were not comfortable giving us the credit, the loan of $700,000 to purchase this. So we got 3 friends, which your network is your net worth, to lend us this money for 2 years at a 6% interest. We're up to that 2 years. They've been so kind to extend the loan, which is amazing. But yes, we were initially working with a community developer, Trellis. Trellis had their CEO retire, and even though we had a signed MOU, the new CEO canceled our project, which you would think, go find another developer, no big deal. The community developers only have 1 application a year, and their projects are booked like 4 years in advance. So the fact that we were slotted and then dropped really delayed the project. So then we're like, fun, let's go find a for-profit developer, because they have 2 applications a year. Well, for-profit developers and community developers are very different, right? We know this going in, like, we put people over profit, and it's opposite. So trying to find a developer that has value alignment was difficult. They would say things like, we would say, oh, let's add a balcony for our residents. And they would say, oh, your population wouldn't expect a balcony, type of bullshit. So we finally have landed on a developer that is allowing us to bring in our own vendors. So our vendor criteria in purchases is local, ideally local woman owned, ideally local woman of color owned. And so we have architects who are trauma informed on this project, and we have other people who we know and respect on this project. But now we just have to get the space rezoned, which we'll do by March, put our application in, it should get funded in June, and then we could start digging 6 to 9 months after that. But every week we have customers asking to be put on this waiting list. It's ultimately going to be our purpose-driven laundromat at the base, and then dozens of affordable housing units, 3 to 4 stories, 60 to 80 affordable housing units for seniors on top. And with this model, we're hoping to replicate it within our community and throughout, because we separately have a group of like-minded laundromats throughout the nation who we're working with to hopefully grow our footprint. Their footprint, our footprint, a community support footprint. It should not be this hard.
No.
It should not be this hard for a nonprofit to get an affordable housing project. The developer, this is a $30 million project. Off the top, they're making $3 million off of the backs of our community. Plus, if they're in-house developers, like they have all of their resources in-house, they're getting that revenue as well. And then they collect all of the revenue monthly from the residents for 100 years. And after 30 years, the loans that they got from LIHTC is forgiven. So it is a
It's a win-win for them.
disgusting system
Yes.
when we look at community development.
You know, as you're explaining all these steps, different directions, needs, and steps that you are taking, it occurs to me that you all have an incredible amount of knowledge of how the system works, how the systems
Intentionally.
work, for sure.
Yeah, we do.
So
We've
you
done
have
it
to.
with our heads so many times. Okay, we learned this one. Let's go this way. And you bump your head again. So it wasn't by design. That was just how it happened, because we believe in it so much that we're going to find that solution that we need.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking for all of our attendees who are trying to figure out their place in this process, can you say, you know, how important it is to learn on the job versus the kind of worldview, we'll call it critical thinking, communication skills that we can gather up if you're going to college? You're not necessarily going to learn how to navigate those systems in your college degree. I don't think so. Maybe it was true maybe in social work, but not in a more kind of liberal arts degree that many of our students are engaged in.
That one's kind of hard because we've learned so much by being novices.
Mhm.
And there wasn't a mentor we could say, okay, well, which way do we go now? Because we were depending upon the developers for that piece of it, since that is their niche. But we've been let down so many times but it's been a learning process, and all I can do is Christy, she's stuck with it. I mean, I can't say all these sleepless nights that she's had and deciding, okay, this door is shut, let's go this way, we'll go this way. But our dream is still alive.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
Yeah.
I mean, even though it seems like sometimes it's not going to come to fruition, it's going to happen. I believe that. I know that. Just don't have a clue when. But in the meantime, look at all the people that are out there still struggling, that could be utilizing or even looking forward to our finished product. I mean, I have a conversation with people down there, and I'll tell them, well, this is our long range goal. And their eyes light up. It's like, okay, you're going to do this here? Yes, we're going to do this here. Because where else will we go? I mean, we love our neighbors. We love our customers. We believe in this project so much. Yes, I mean, and I just tell them, just hold on. I can't say when it's going to happen, but it's coming. Can't say when. But it's just the idea that I gave them a little something to look forward to. Because if we're already providing this type of service, once we have that up and running, I mean, they feel like it's theirs because they're so much ingrained in social spin in our vision.
I think for me as a social worker, we believe in person in the environment. And so my first go-to always is why? Why is that happening? So if someone comes into our laundromat, having a really bad day, it's not recognizing them as having a really bad attitude, but rather like, oh, something must be really affecting this person. So I do use the person in the environment theory constantly, meeting people where they're at constantly, but I don't, like, my college books are definitely dusty for sure, because I think what's more important is understanding your individual values. So one of my 3 individual values is respect. And when I walked into that laundromat 6 years ago, I felt like the condition was disrespectful to the community and the customers, and that motivated this passion. We knew when we walked onto the land of our new property that was so important for us to be within a 2-mile radius from our original location, because statistically, that's how far people will go to get to their neighborhood laundromat. So I think it's important to know your personal values, the company values, and the demographics of your customers to make these really big decisions.
I really apologize for the interruption here, but I'm coming home.
The work never ends, as we see.
No,
That's
see a friendly face and they'll definitely come over and ask.
I totally understand it. I'm curious, Glynda, can you talk to us about the role of community-based safety in your spaces, and to what extent or whether you all engage in the criminal justice system at all in solving what some would call conflicts?
Well,
when I did the research
in Phoenix, because I spend most of my time there, we have someone, our main thing is
so I just looked online.
no police
and get some
on site.
laundry done before I get on the
Because
plane back to
most of
Florida.
our customers have a situation with
I'm out there.
law enforcement.
Okay.
So if we can keep them away from, if we can keep them away, then that's all the better. Because we, one time we had
Nice meeting you.
the area captain
Christy.
come over, and he
Nice
wanted
to
to make
meet
a
you.
donation. Now, he was bringing stuff into the place, and I don't know his motive, but I could tell a few of our customers were a little uneasy with him being in there, even though he was giving us supplies that would in actuality help all of them. So therefore, but you can tell that the attitudes and everything else changes when that does happen. And so that we try to keep that at a minimum. We have I'm not going to say we have people that are trusted that actually believe in our mission, that if there's a situation going on, then they'll be able to handle it in a diplomatic way with our and bring some kind of resolution to it. But the main thing, a thing that I am very proud of, is I've had so many people walk into the space, and they say they feel the calm there, the peace. A lot of people doing heat relief, even though it's hot outside and they're coming in and it's hot and you're all frustrated and a lot of them felt safe enough to come in there and take a nap. So for me, that's my barometer, is how people act in that particular space. And if there's a situation going on, we'll have a conversation with them and see how we can solve it together. There's no dictation. This is what there's nothing written in stone. It's on a case-by-case basis. And most of the people in there, I know them by name. So that kind of helps. The familiarity, I do believe, helps that way too.
again, more thinking about how do you pursue justice when you face sometimes uncomfortable situations or conflicts that come up in it. And it sounds like you are, again, returning to the community to define what makes them feel safe and how they want to handle problems that they're encountering within your space, let alone outside of it. You know, in one of the questions that you all and I went back and forth on was the question of sustainability. So I'm curious if you could answer this in two different ways. One is the sustainability of the model that you have, and the sustainability of people like you all doing the work. So how do you, can you explain how the model is sustainable for social spin laundromats? And can you talk about how you all get through the day or the year doing this work, which is obviously heart-driven, but very hard?
Well, heart-driven. Okay, tell them.
Okay, go
Okay,
ahead,
tell
tell
'em.
them.
I went into my annual appointment, and they do EKGs now, which is beautiful. Highly recommend. It's not required, but recommended. I found out I had a heart attack. At some point, I had a silent heart attack. I feel like I know when. And I just kept doing laundry, delivering the laundry. That is not sustainable, obviously. So don't turn to me for advice. But I do have to figure this shit out.
No, I've been there.
And our
probably-
succession too.
Yes,
Succession planning.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I've been there almost 5 years. And most of the time I have been there without taking a break. This is my first year I've ever taken 2 weeks off consecutively.
Mhm.
I'll take a vacation day here, I'll vacation day there. But I had to this year because it was a lot going on. I mean, this housing is and attempting to get that up with all the hurdles, but it's like Christy said, it's the two of us. I mean, we have so many hats on right now. We're here, there, and everywhere, and so so with Christy bringing on another entity, another person, has kind of taken some of it off of us.
Yeah, but don't take our advice. What we're doing though is we are so two things happened. So when I had a heart attack, and two, succession. When we enter in a 30-year partnership with the affordable housing developers, they want to know who's leading the organization in 30 years. I'm like, are you kidding me? Is the country going to be around in 30 years? Like, how do we answer this? So it really inspired the conversation around how do we replicate this model, not just here in Arizona, but when we do go nationally, we have to get really clear on what our expectations, roles, responsibilities, values, all that stuff, so it can be replicated. And we're bringing in consultants to help us. We've grown so fast in such a short amount of time that we haven't paused often enough. And so over the next month and a half, we have 3 different real conversations scheduled with an outside facilitator around morale. How do we hold ourselves accountable? What are our values? What additional support and training? Because a business right now has 15 plus employees, but they're focused on laundry service. And then we have the foundation too. So, yep, don't look at us. We're not doing it.
No, we're not. But
We want to.
we're still OJTing it right about now. We're on the job training how and figuring out how we can sustain, how we can go forward with this energy and yet have time for us.
Yeah. Oh, and I want to be really clear for the students there too, is a couple of resources. One, all of my numbers are fantastic. 120 over 74, cholesterol's low. Like, I know my numbers. So legit, this was a stress heart attack. Like, stress can kill you. Like, it doesn't have to be because your cholesterol's high. So let's get that clear. 2, I have anxiety. I'm on anxiety medication. Before I got on that medication, I thought that I was having a heart attack all the time. ironically. So instead of going to the emergency room, you can go to your fire department anytime. Just walk up 24/7 and tell them that you want them to check, do an EKG. It's a free service that I don't think we use enough, but go to your fire department rather than your emergency room
Yes,
and access the student health services on campus. Know your numbers, and also know stress can kill you.
absolutely.
I really appreciate you being, so straightforward about your own experiences, that this is very, very personal, and that health disparities are real.
Mhm.
They shred your body, right? So your work is trying to ameliorate, trying to minimize, in meeting people's basic needs, to try to minimize some of the significant health disparities that your customers are facing already. If people wanted to learn more or get involved or figure out their place in this puzzle, what kind of recommendations do you have?
Well, I am an experienced person. So my thing is, come on down on a Wednesday, because that is our busiest day. Just take a look at how we move through. And it's definitely taking volunteers to help get this from point A to point B. But we still have our fingers in it. So that would be my suggestion. Come down and just take a look at how we have structured it and how we move through our day. It's 4 hours on from 8 to 12 on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So I would just say, come on down, take a look at it. I'm not going to say, I can't say how anybody else does it, but it's one of our busiest, and it can be fun. We had a DJ at one time that played music for it. So we were feeding people. The initiative, we were feeding up to 120 people. Sometimes that food was gone. And they didn't start till 9. The food was gone by 11. So, I would just say, come down and take a look and experience it. That's all I'm saying. Just experience it. How we do it. I mean, and I think that would be. I'm not going to say how anybody else does it.
And some of our
Thank you.
attendees may want to be your customers, right?
And that would work great. Now you know the process. You drop off your laundry on Wednesday and transport it over here, and from 8 to 12, and then bring it back to you between 8 and 12 that Thursday. Now, Thursday is not so busy because it's a grab and go. A lot of it grab and go, or they'll hang around for a shower. But Wednesday is when we have our biggest group of people, because all of our services are there.
Mhm. And I'm not sure if you've noticed, but since we started, we've seen people accessing the community fridge. We saw a customer donate 3 books. We have a customer right now sweeping the laundromat. So those are also little things that you could do. You could donate your unwanted books. You could donate unwanted food. You could donate your clothes. Definitely use us for laundry service, either the free services, or if you have the disposable resources, we do have paid laundry service as well. And then if laundry is not your jam, which we totally get, I would just encourage you to get clear on your values, make sure that your journey aligns with those values, because there's tons of beautiful groups and organizations that are focused on economic justice, and start getting actively involved in your community and start developing those authentic relationships with people who you respect and are doing the work.
Really appreciate that. We want to open it up now to attendees, both in the classroom and beyond. So Professor Kwan, if you can help facilitate people being by their microphones or unmuting themselves only one at a time. If that's going to work, you'll be the judge of that. And also people who are online can submit their questions if you want through the Q&A. So this is your time. No question too small. While folks are developing their questions, I wanted to share with you all that the School of Social Transformation has the Center for Work and Democracy within it. And the Center for Work and Democracy, in addition to doing some research projects and bringing guest speakers and programming to campus, including a most incredible, unique art exhibit that's coming, I believe, in the spring. Stay tuned. They help to administer our long-standing undergraduate certificate in socioeconomic justice. So if that's your jam, to use Christy's words, take a look and talk to your advisor and talk to your faculty about our socioeconomic justice certificate for undergraduates. And you also might want to know, this is still unofficial, so you're hearing it here first, that our annual John P. Frank lecture coming in the spring will be given by Professor Matthew Desmond, who actually has an undergraduate degree in Justice Studies and Communication from ASU. He's now a professor at Princeton, and his most recent book is entitled Poverty, by America. So he's interested in how do our policies and laws perpetuate impoverishment. So those are things you can look forward to as well. We have a question from Varsha Prasad. Do you all accept feminine hygiene products and give them out?
Oh, definitely. We have, I make sure that our bathrooms are stocked with them on a daily, and then and thank you for asking that question, because we're getting low.
Yeah.
So nothing happens by chance, right?
Yeah.
So, but yes, we definitely accept those.
We partner with Go With The Flow. We absolutely love them. They provide resources as well. And so we got a grant to do community spaces within the laundromat. And one of the community spaces is a tampon distributor. I'm addicted to the show How I Built This on NPR, and Ally was one of the pitches. So founded by two women of color, new concept. They wanted to modernize the experience in purchasing feminine products in the bathroom. And so we're working with them to install here, but also encourage our laundromat partners across the country to upgrade their products, but also make those resources free of charge, because they do have advertisement opportunities. So yes, we totally are on board with making sure that our shelves are stocked.
Yes.
Fantastic. You can see the multi-level thinking going on, the mutual aid, some people obviously in the for-profit sector will want to have the revenue stream, but trying to make products and things that people need free of charge. I believe that Go With The Flow, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, was at least founded or led by Demetra Presley, who was a graduate from here. So that's really very exciting, very exciting.
Love.
Yes.
Dr. Edelman, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. Thank you again so much for organizing this series. We have really enjoyed it as a class, and thank you to both Christy and Glynda for being here. What a refreshing presentation. Thank you. And thank you for being so honest too about how nonprofit work and the working, particularly on economic justice in the community, can be extraordinarily taxing on all of our health. I have a question. You used
Professor Kwan, you just muted yourself, perhaps.
Nope, that was me. Sorry.
Oh, somebody did.
Go ahead.
So you use the term customers to refer to the folks who use the services and care there. Could you talk to us about that? Why do you refer them? Because I think you said some of the services are free, some of the care are just there for them. So why customers? And then I was just curious if you would just tell us what your normal week looks like from Monday through Sunday.
Yes.
I chose the word customer because I'm all about the contact with people, meeting them where they are, and making them know that I appreciate you. So most of the time, well, my background has been in manufacturing and IT. So there was always the big C and the little c, the big customers and the little customers. So I want everybody to feel that we hear you and we appreciate you coming in, because you don't have to be there. You don't have to come in there with to use any of our services. I want it to be personalized, that we do appreciate you choosing us, because we're here, but you have the choice to go wherever, but you choose to come here. So I want everybody to feel that they are heard first, and that we appreciate them. So they're our customers. And most of the time when a customer tells you that there's a situation going on, you attempt to fix it.
Yeah.
And incorporate incorporate them into the decision-making going on there.
We do a lot of cross-pollination of our customer base. So customers who are paying for laundry services, we sent out through we have a POS system. It's like a legit business where you get text messages when like our driver's en route or when we picked up your laundry. And we also can communicate like, oh, it's winter. If you have extra jackets, leave them out with your donated clothes, or during the summer, leave a case of water. And our drivers are kind enough to pick up the laundry order and the donations. And so it's a great opportunity. We have over 500 customers. We do over 30 stops a day. It's a great way for us to engage people who do have disposable income and resources and connect them to our communities who might not at this time.
And I'll just repeat, the second question was, can you give us a typical week in the life of you?
Mine starts usually on Monday with attempting to get the answer emails. Tuesdays, one of our programs on Wednesday has a stipend to it, and I have to go collect the money so that because that's a huge draw. One is
so we pay people to participate in the
classes.
Community education. It's our, we acknowledge your time is value, and we pay them in cash. We don't pay them a gift card. No, it's cash. That's just how we roll, because again, access to your money and your time is valuable.
Yes. So therefore that starts my Tuesday, and then the meetings that we have. But Wednesday, everything is leading up to Wednesday, because that's the biggest day. I make sure that when the place is clean, bags are organized, so that, because sometimes we have a line all out the door and almost to the street with people. They'll line up. I'm there on Wednesdays at 7:30, and I leave at 12 because I have to come up over here at 1. But I want to make sure that the water stock is refrigerated with water. I want to make sure that when they come in, the information I take flows easily, so that the people move and they're just not standing in line. And then I have to explain and since the zone is closed, hasn't been a week that we haven't gotten at least 4 or 5 new people. So I have to explain the service that we do offer there, and then move along with the day. And then we're having showers, they're having haircuts or whatever. There is a list for all of that. So, and then during the off times, I do get up and walk around and have a conversation with people to make sure that everybody's doing fine. And then on Thursday, for me is handing back the laundry. And if there's a situation going on, making sure, like I said, the place is still clean, that they're receptive, and that we're ready for them when they come in, rather than attempting to get ready for them, so that everything runs smooth. And that's and then Thursday, there's usually meetings that, with Christy and Brittany, meetings for that. And then Thursday, if there's any kind of overlap, that's Friday.
Yeah. So
for me, it's and then Christy, I'm sure she's all over the place, but that's just my little piece. Christy's is like this, and I already know it.
I just remembered where our 5th location is.
Good.
Cul-de-sac in Tempe. we have a laundry laundry locker system where residents could pick up and drop off from there. And we're starting a new service, which is mending, because those residents are very green focused. It's a carless community, but we're partnering with the Arizona State Hospital, and the patients there are actually doing the mending services. So it is a shared revenue model that we absolutely love. But yeah, my day on so I serve as a volunteer board president for the foundation, and my focus in that capacity is to help raise the $30 million for the affordable housing project, write grants for operations, and report grants for those operations. Do the grant reporting. That's the bulk of it. So fundraising, coordinating the housing development project, and grants, right?
Yes.
And then on the business side, this is what caused the heart attack, was everything else. So it's calling our maintenance technicians, it's coordinating more laundry bags for our commercial users, it's sending proposals for our commercial customers. All things customer support is me right now. Over the last 6 years, I've been slowly building the team in a really conservative way. So I was doing everything initially, and then as revenue increased, like bought that position to offload my work. So the last piece that I have is customer service support, managing the landlord relationship, which is our biggest investment, and we are misaligned in some ways. So they have their security guards, which we pay for as part of our CAM, a rent, come into our space and tell people to leave if they're not doing laundry. So it's like educating the landlord around our model and making sure that they stay out of our business. Staff hiring, coaching, support, just all the things.
That's a lot.
Yes.
I have a question.
We have a question from a participant who's online. Anyukachi, did you want to ask that question yourself?
Me?
Oh, that's someone online. And then you can-
I'm not sure if they're in a good place to ask that, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. The question is, how does Social Spin gauge the success of its efforts to strengthen communities? You talked about your sense of community index. Are there specific measures or signs that are especially important in showcasing the positive impact of your work?
Yeah, I think the biggest question for us is, do you feel at home? And that's on the sense of community index. So we do a survey twice a year, English and Spanish, with open-ended questions, as well as the survey questions that have been modified and approved by the authors of that scientific tool. And so we aim to get at 85% or higher say yes, they feel at home, but we've been able to achieve greater than that. And our survey, a social work intern is doing the survey administration this month. So we'll be able to analyze the results and see how we're doing with that.
Thank you so much. I think there's a question in the room.
We do have one question up here up front. Do you have to unmute your, right there?
So we have
wait.
group discussions based on like our weekly events, and our group question this week is, what is economic justice? And I want to ask that towards you. So
A small question. What is economic justice? What is your dream for that? How do you define it? What does that mean to you?
Oh man, I don't know about the dream. When I started this, I said we would have on Women's Independence Day, women get to pay less for their laundry. And so I dream that that is not a thing where women are paid equally, so we don't have to discount their laundry. But things that we do is we pay our employees weekly. We used to pay them daily, but it became a cash flow struggle. We're aiming to be back to that because we do believe that you should get paid before your sweat dries, and giving people access to the money that they've already earned is our small way of ensuring that they have cash and don't have to turn to predatory lending entities. We make sure that all of our dollars are invested in local, ideally women of color owned businesses as our way to support them and our economy. We pay over minimum wage for our employees and are working on developing, well, we have developed a partnership with Waymo and Cul-de-sac where an apartment will be subsidized for one of our unsheltered employees to move into. We do not partner with, so one of our populations that we employ are people with intellectual and cognitive disabilities. And there is a subpar wage practice still in place in our communities. And we refuse to partner with any organization that doesn't pay equally. The dream is, I forget this, because it's just like that our employees own the laundromat, our communities own the laundromat. Until we figure that out, we have them drive the programming, but the ultimate goal is for community ownership in the laundromat space. What did I miss?
I don't think you missed too much of anything, but the part that when I heard you say that you would want to, I mean, I've worked in corporate America, but to hear someone say that the dream is to have an employee own their own business. I mean, to me, that's like one of the best incentives out there. I mean, I've never heard that. Not to say I've heard everything, but to when she told me that, it was just like, I can't come up with words. It was like unbelievable that you when we first started off 5 years ago, that was your dream and it's still there. I mean, how many other opportunities do you get to do that? No,
Yeah.
I don't know.
We have to figure that out. We do have to figure it out.
But for it to even be an idea is awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I think that too, the reality is with gentrification, neighborhood laundromats are disappearing. And so we're very much committed to purchasing land and building and staying within that community. And so that's a dream too, is to ensure that the neighbors have access to laundromats, despite developers coming in and gentrifying the neighborhood. I mean, that's why we're in the place that we were in. We were displaced. And we think that's shitty. So we're very much committed to, the dream would be to be embedded with affordable housing units on top in communities that would benefit from a neighborhood laundromat, and who wouldn't?
I think that's a pretty wonderful place to pause for now, knowing that this is the beginning of the conversation, but you shared with us a very powerful model for changing social conditions in this direct direct service and advocacy pathways. And I really want to thank you for taking the time out of your very, very busy weeks to share your expertise with us. I also want to say thank you to our staff, Brittany, Jennifer, Haley, and Gina, for the labor behind the screen. And again, to Professor Kwan and you all, the students in the classroom, and everyone who is attending online or beyond for joining us this year. If you have suggestions for folks we should be featuring next year in the fall 2024 Seeking Justice in Arizona series, send us an email. You can send it to me if you want, mad@asu.edu, but you can certainly send it to your professors and they can route it to me as well. So thank you again. Have a great rest of your day and keep your clothes clean in ways that advance economic justice. Thank you, Christy and Glynda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.